everyone. Welcome to Rawville, USA. I'm M. Michael Schatz, Mayor of Rawville, USA, where during each episode, we will delve into our guests' unique journeys, highlighting the personal and professional challenges they've overcome, and celebrating their achievements and contributions. So let's embrace the power behind our guest and welcome Jim Wice.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me to Rawville.
You're welcome. How you doing today?
Doing fine.
Excellent. Excellent. To start, we're going to give our viewers a bit of background about you. Jim Wice is retired from Wellesley College as Director of Accessibility and Disability Resources. He worked there for 23 years. Jim is president and on the board of directors of the Boston Self-Help Center. He has used a power wheelchair since 1979 when he was 18 years old. He has a spinal cord injury from a swimming accident. He has been participating in power wheelchair soccer for about 14 years. He has a passion for antique and vintage whatchamacallits. And he has introduced Volt hockey to the United States. Jim, could you tell us more about participating in adaptive sports and recreation?
Sure. So you did date me a little bit. I'm not going to do the math. I'll let your audience do the math. But I'm an old timer with a disability. And over the years, I had always wanted to do some adaptive sports. And, I enjoy doing whatever I can do. So sometimes I play with watercolors. I found I could do watercolors. I enjoy riding around, exploring Massachusetts and all. But I was looking for some sort of an adaptive sports that I could do with both an upper and lower body mobility impairment. And I was also looking for something I could do without having to get in and out of chairs. So I'm not somebody who could do wheelchair basketball or quad rugby or sled hockey. So, I was with Boston Self-Help Center. We had a long history of doing a lot of advocacy and things like that, but we'd lost funding and we were about to close the doors, really. And I had looked into this, sports, and I found this power soccer opportunity. And I said, gee, I think if we do this, it'll be like Field of Dreams. They will come. And actually, we had competition. We had one group that was going to do it on a Friday. We were going to do it on a Saturday. And it turns out the Friday people couldn't get enough people. Saturday, we had 10 to 15 and had a great demonstration. And from there on, it's been going like fire.
The Friday people joined the Saturday people?
We did have a few people come. There was a Friday group that was, I think, out in Worcester or something, and they just couldn't draw enough people. And the national organization will send people out if you have at least 10 people. So, it was all good for us. We felt fortunate, and we held it at the Tobin Community Center, which has been a great resource to us. And everybody had a great time, and we kind of went on from there. And I've been doing it again for 14 years and enjoy it. My girlfriend was one of the original folks as well, and she uses a power wheelchair. And there's still people from that original group that are still doing it.
Wow. So could you tell me, again, you have upper and lower mobility difficulties. How does it actually work? How do you play soccer in a wheelchair?
So right now, for the most part, the trend and the kind of the norm is to use a specialized chair called a Strikeforce chair. And so I have my chair so that it reclines because I kind of need that feature. Mm-hmm. But I get in it the day of the soccer, whether it's practice or a tournament. And, it's a fast chair. It's a chair on steroids. I personally get tied down, almost like a Bronco buster. So I have them tie my right arm down. I have them tie my chest down. And there's a metal guard that goes on the chair. And the soccer's played 4-on-4 in a gymnasium, so it's indoors. Larger soccer ball that's inflated. I don't know to what degree, but it's a larger ball. And we either drive into it forward or we hit it from the side, and there's definitely a lot of plays that people develop and technique, but goalie, center, 2 wings, and usually a lot of fun.
Wow. So I know you brought vault hockey to United States. How do they differ in how you play them?
So vault hockey's played 3-on-3, a different chair, and the chair's wooden.
Do you know why it's wooden?
So we found out that the person who developed the sport, said it's hockey. We want to put wood into it like a hockey stick. So people sit on a wooden chair that's some sort of, I don't know if it's laminate or what, but it's been curved. You put a cushion on it and all that kind of stuff, but it's a 3-wheel chair. The chairs can go, they allow for the sport to be played at like 9.2 miles an hour, where soccer, they only let us go 6.2, but I think we have more acceleration and torque and just, you know, it does feel like you're on steroids, or that you're Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron or somebody, you know, who can really pound the ball when your regular chair can't do it. You know,
Right.
Your regular chair just wouldn't keep up.
Wow. Does the vault hockey have a league like your like the soccer does, or is that?
So vault hockey right now, we are starting it up in the United States. We started a United States Vault Hockey Association, which became a spin-off of the nonprofit I'm involved with, Boston Self-Help Center.
Are you the president of that as well?
President of no, not president of Vault Hockey. Actually, I'm a board member on it. But we have a lot of kind of overlap right now anyways. But the idea with the association is to build teams and build capacity for other programs to buy. You know, they're both expensive chairs, the Vault Hockey chairs, the soccer chairs. So, but there is a league in Europe that's very active. There's a league. There's teams in Canada as well, and so at the moment we go off. You know, the team will go off to play in Europe or Canada. And
the Boston team will go?
The Boston team, yeah, they're called the Whiplash. Can you guess why they're called the Whiplash?
No. Oh, because it goes 9 miles an hour.
Something like that. One of our players, she said, you know, it feels like I'm getting whiplash because I'm moving around. You get tied in, so, but yeah, so we have the Whiplash team. Sometimes, and we have 2 teams. We refer to them in terms of colors sometimes, and I'm not up on everything, but I think we have a blue and an orange team. The soccer, on the other hand, is there's about 60 teams in the United States.
How many in Boston?
So Boston, we have 2. The Boston Breakers, Brakers, and the Commonwealth Cruisers. Those are both supported by Boston Self-Help Center. There's a team more or less out of Canton, the New England FC, so football club.
Thank you.
And there are teams in New Hampshire called the Wildcats and the Thundercats. There's a team in Vermont, the Chargers. I guess the Vermont Chargers. And I think there's another team in New Hampshire, and they may go by Valley. I'm gonna get messages about, but I can't remember their name. And I think that's kind of New England. There's a couple teams in Canada that often come down and play in our tournaments as well. And
have you ever gone to Canada to play?
I have not. We've talked about it. It's an expensive sport, and the travel can be expensive. And some of the younger players have their parents and stuff that can take them, but you know, we had traditionally been the over the hill gang, so we were all older. Now we've got, you know, a range in ages from like 11 to 72. But there's also a team in Syracuse, New York. So we've been to Syracuse and Vermont, which have definitely been long trips. But hopefully the future is that one of our teams, hopefully the Breakers, get to go to Canada and experience that.
So, as people out there hopefully know, I was a school psychologist for 30 years. Can you tell me about, without mentioning names, can you tell me about the 11-year-old or the younger people you have on the team?
Without giving names, that's all I have to do.
Yeah, just because we don't want to.
I mean, it's been the best experience because I hadn't really worked with 11-year-olds. I've got an 11-year-old and a 13-year-old. The 11-year-old loves the girls. All our volunteers. I have to like break him away from the volunteers. Now the 13-year-old is also kind of developing a soccer mind and strategy, and both of them use power wheelchairs, and both of them have their parents actively involved. And I'll probably say this later on too if you ask me about other things, but it make me feel good. But seeing one of these young people score and having their parent there and hearing the parent cheer them on just feels so good. So it's amazing. And now the trick is to keep them interested, hopefully, because there's at least 2 of them that are at that age, and hopefully they'll have that connection, and hopefully we will grow a little bit. We got a small grant from the city of Boston to try to increase youth playing our sports, hockey and soccer. But yeah, totally a blast. And even you talk about the younger folks, but the adult folks. I mean, I've seen players for 14 years, and I've had people come up to me and say, hey, so and so was more of an introvert before, and now they're like a leader, and they're out there playing, and they're a different person now 14 years later. And everybody, I think, has grown in some way, and it's great to see and great to be a part of.
Yeah. I was also a social worker for elderly people for 10 years, so I appreciate you mentioning that as well, because when you mentioned the 72-year-old, you and I are the same generation. I'll tell you, I would imagine that he would be just as happy scoring a goal, or she would be just as happy scoring a goal.
He's more than happy.
It's exciting.
No, he's the one, like whenever we say we want to not do soccer, take a break, a vacation. I said, why do we want to take a break? This is something I'd like to do. Yeah. Let's keep practicing. Let's keep, doing scrimmages and all that. And he played soccer himself in college. So, he's got buy-in to this as well, and, acts as a player coach as I do. So again, a lot of fun, great community among the players, great community among the volunteers, and just other teams too. You go in, and I spend time joking with the other families. Like when I'm getting beat up in a soccer match, and I was beat up pretty recently, I'll go over to the parents on the other team, and I'm going, what do I do? Stop the bleeding.
You have to tell me what does that mean? You were beat up?
They were scoring 5, 6, 7 goals to
but
nothing.
Not physically.
No,
okay,
not
you
physically.
Said you're bleeding.
I'm like, that's my express. To them to crack them up, and they're like, geez, Jim, I don't know. Because we all know each other, and they all see each other at these tournaments, and I'll even talk to the referees and say, hey, can I substitute a player from another team in to help?
Yeah. And
first they think I'm serious, and I'm like, I'm only kidding. I know you can't do that. They said, well, Jim, for you, we would do it, but we can't do that. So yeah, just a good community, and it's probably why I stuck with it this long and continue to.
And the public can come out and watch you guys play watch you folks play these games.
Yeah, nobody's ever charged for a tournament or the practices. Where usually we always do a scrimmage at the end. Usually the last half hour, so we have the breakers and the cruisers will team up and, go after each other and, play whatever we can. Usually a game officially is 2 20-minute periods with a 10-minute break. So when you do a tournament, you figure an hour a game, and usually in a big tournament, they're running 2 concurrent games throughout, and so you guarantee everybody 3 games usually. That's the standard. So it makes the trip worthwhile, and hopefully everybody gets enough playing time and fun.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about, right? The fun stuff. That's what we say in the end. But it's hard not to. People are competitive, and people, all that. And it's good, but we tell everybody, there's a national tournament too. So we try to tell them early on, we're trying to peak for nationals. It's easier than saying, yeah, we're going to cry about losing months and months out. But yeah, but everybody wants to win, but I think everyone wants to play and, again, not be stressed out. And so we try to encourage people, if a goal goes in, it's not the goalie's fault. It's the team's fault. And we'll get one back, we say. And if somebody scores, it's not just the player who scored. Somebody else had to set them up to make the score happen. And
absolutely. So, it's a team effort. Yeah. It's absolutely.
So we celebrate that. We celebrate that. And if anybody's on the bench, we say, your job's to watch the other team or see what you can see and tell us in the huddle. So yeah, it's been wonderful.
I appreciate the wording you just used about when people would say it's my fault or I did something wrong. And one of the things that I've always, I'm not a competitive person, and one of the things that I've always never really understood. I mean, I understand. I'm not, but one of the things that I mean, the competitiveness when it's taken to that level of blame, of hatred, of anger, I don't know, it just takes away. And from everything you're saying, these are a group of people that, even with the other teams, are bonded with each other and respect each other. And I think that's a really important thing when you're playing sports.
It's healthy. I mean, I can't tell you that's the way it's been all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think part of it is that for me, kind of in a leadership role was kind of an learning experience too. And I like to take credit for some of it. And some of it was just knowing that everybody wants playing time. So an ideal team size, maybe 6 players on a team. My cruisers right now have 8, but we haven't been able to get to all of the tournaments together, so we've had less. Mm-hmm. But you have more than 6 players that want to get out there and play, and you're playing 4-on-4. And what do you decide? Do you want to play to win? There may be 4, top players. Do you want to play to get everybody playing? You may be risking not winning. And how do you balance that off? And so by trying to keep the numbers a little bit down, I think it lets everybody grow and communicate. But there are other teams that beat up on themselves, and it's not a good thing. It's not a healthy thing, and
it's not.
And you feed the other team. You feed the other team by if you're going to yell at the goalie for letting a goal in. Yeah. There's a lot of drama in front of the net. That's what you're supposed to do, is cause drama, and let's see if we can make a goal happen. But in the end, hey, we'll get one back. And not everybody's on their A game every day, right? You might not be feeling good. You might not have got enough sleep. You try to. Might not have eaten right, a little dehydrated, whatever it is. So you do the best you can.
Yeah.
And you talk about it, and and again, we try to remind people, it's all about having fun.
Yeah. That's what it's about. So Jim, when I asked you about what you do, and you had mentioned that you collect whatchamacallits, and I was fascinated because I said, well, what are whatchamacallits? And you said, well, that's what they are. So can you tell me more about that?
So, I mean, I've always liked antiques and vintage things, but if you go to a flea market and you say, oh yeah, I like something interesting, or I like an antique or whatever, everybody's got a million antiques, and they always want to know, so what do you collect? So if it's interesting, I might collect it, but I started to say whatchamacallits. So whatchamacallit tends to be something that people wouldn't otherwise know what it is. Mm-hmm. So I'll challenge the person. So I might look and see what is this thing, and other times they will say, oh, we've got this thing. What do you think it is? And some of the easier things are glass insulators on the telephone poles. Mm-hmm. I can show you some of them. I just got a box that was in my van. I had 62 of them. That was from home when I was a kid, that had been hidden. But I only try to collect one, because my girlfriend gave me a rule that I had to put anything I collected in one cabinet. Mm-hmm. So I had to cut down. I think I'm a beginning hoarder, but I think, so there are lots of these things. Like I've got an antique ice cream scoop And when you see it, you'll be like, really, what is this thing? And usually what I do with these things is at a party or with friends, I'll pull them out and I'll say, tell me what this thing is. You can only ask me yes or no questions.
That's great.
And I'll give you 20. I'll give you 20 questions. Sometimes people are into it, sometimes people give up. But it's a lot of fun. And it's easier to, if you want to collect things, to go to those flea markets like Brimfield or wherever else, or a yard sale, and just be either looking for or asking about whatchamacallits. You got whatchamacallits? So. Yeah.
What do you think is your most unique whatchamacallit?
Unique. There are a lot of unique ones. I mean, so I'll give you the range.
What's your favorite one?
So my favorite one was broken. So I got to replace it. Maybe your audience will send me one.
Okay.
It was this glass piece that looked like an egg would fit in it. Okay? And it's called a penny lick.
Okay. I have no idea what that is.
You sure? You want to ask me 20 questions? No, we don't have time for 20 questions. But this penny lick was for giving ice cream out at a fair or by some ice cream vendor before they had ice cream cones. They got banned. They were illegal. Can you guess why? So what would happen is you say, I want a scoop of ice cream, vanilla ice cream. He gives you the glass container, a little thing. He puts a little scoop on it. You eat it. You give it back to him. He takes a bucket and he rinses it out. Next guy comes. He takes the same one out and says, "What do you want? Chocolate? Okay, we'll put that in there." Rinses out in the same bucket. So people were getting sick from these, so they were banned.
Because he didn't clean it.
Well, they were just in this bucket of water, and it was probably like the 1890s or something. Yeah. So that's called a penny lick. But I got to replace that one. But yeah, that was one of my favorites, just because sometimes it's a nice object. I mean, you might not know it's like there are a lot of. I've had some interesting Victorian silverware. I don't know if you know anything about Victorian silverware, but they have a fork or a spoon or something for everything. So here is your pickle fork. Here is your butter knife. Here is your spoon for a baby spoon. Here is, and so they would have like 10 or 20 pieces on the table, and that was also kind of interesting until I found out there were so many, and it's like, yeah, I don't need all of these, just one or two.
Yeah.
Just to get people like, wow, that's cool.
That is cool.
Now on the simpler side, and I thought people would know it, I bought a slide roller. I thought everybody would know what a slide roller is.
I know what a slide roller is.
But somebody who's 20-something doesn't know what a slide roller is.
No idea.
It's like, what the hell is that thing? That's your early computer.
That's right.
So
that's right.
So that's what I collect.
Jim,
Sure.
That's great. I love it. Okay. So we are coming to the end of our show. I want to thank you for your time. One of the things that I loved about what you talked about was the team spirit, the spirit of camaraderie, of being there for your fellow person, and as you noted, it's a learning experience. It's something that, and this is my belief, people look to their leader to kind of guide them as to who they should be on a team. And, I think that your kindness really comes out. And I think that that's what people, that's what they're following. They're following your lead. So it's something I definitely want to go see. Could you tell people how they could come see?
Yeah. So I would look at our BostonSelfHelpCenter.org website and our social media on Facebook, Boston Self Help Center. We are usually at the Tobin Community Center, 1481 Tremont Street in Roxbury, Massachusetts, and we do our practices from 1 to 3 p.m. and you're welcome to come, and there's no cost. And if you do see a tournament, sometimes we usually host an annual tournament. and we will post other tournaments that are in New England as well. So please come out. And it was very nice of you to share that. I think of myself as trying to be humble, and I also think that it is a team effort as well. So hopefully I may provide some of that leadership, but I also see everybody else on the team that's been with me providing that. I mentioned my girlfriend plays, and so any of the, I tell her, hey, Karen, you're the women's coach. You got to like interact with the new women's players, and she loves that. And and the other guys on the team all do a great job too. So I appreciate the feedback, but I also want to give to my fellow players, especially because they may beat up on me too a little bit. So how that is too, both physically and by text message or whatever else. So yeah, that's the way to come find us, and love to have people come. Love to have an audience come and cheer and have some fun. And usually if we go to a tournament, usually there's some free food too. So all good.
So I usually find it hard to market myself. And so I'm going to encourage you to make a pitch, because I know that, the Boston Self-Help Center can use as much as they need. Could you make a pitch to the people listening to?
So our adaptive sports programs, again, we're trying to fill a unique niche, serving these folks who both have upper and lower body mobility impairments. There really aren't a lot of opportunities for us to do these adaptive sports. So if you find that by researching us a little bit, that you enjoy what we're doing, it's a little expensive for us to do this. We don't have a lot of funding. We're always looking for donations and sponsors, small and large. Go to our website. We have a donation page, bostonselfhelpcenter.org. If you're looking at us and you're a company, we would love to put your logo on our website. We'd love to put your logo on our jerseys or on the back of our chairs, or somehow partner with you. But we're always chasing money to make sure everybody gets to participate. And so, I think that's the big piece. If you can help, please do. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Before we go, could you tell me something that made you smile this week?
That made me smile this week.
Yeah.
So, even just talking to you about our younger players, and seeing the 11-year-old, the 13-year-old playing, and, we have saved video clips of them. And we have a nice little 1.5-minute video on our website right up top, where the father is seeing his son score a goal, and you can hear his father in the background saying, good one, and he's saying his name, but it just, all of that with the younger folks makes me feel so much like I'm doing the right thing, that I'm on the right path, that something I'm doing is right, and to keep doing it. So that, just thinking about that stuff makes me smile and feel warm inside.
That's great. Thanks, Jim. Please look out for for another episode of Rawville, USA with your mayor, me, and Michael Shaps. If you would like to be part of the show, if you would like me to answer a question, or if you have an idea for a future topic, please email me at rawvilleusa1@gmail.com. Here's a quote from the Dalai Lama that is near and dear to my heart, and one I try very hard to live by. Although you may not always be able to avoid difficult situations, you can modify the extent to which you can suffer by how you choose to respond to the situation. Please always remember, you are awesome, he is awesome, I am awesome, and we are awesome. Be awesome, everyone.
Be awesome, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Now, is that running or?
Yeah.
The square? Yep.
It is. The little orange thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
I wouldn't want to do that again.
Oh.
Once was enough.
Yeah.